Hi everyone. So in my last video I talked about the first stage of our data collection process and how this involved collecting information about the children's backgrounds on our caseload, how they communicate and their deafness, and how parents engage with different services. So in this video, I'd like to talk about the second and the third stages of our project, which focuses more on how we collected information about the children's speech and language therapy outcomes. So in this second stage, we spent a really long time looking at all the recent speech and language therapy assessments that have been completed in the last year. We recorded which assessments were completed and what the scores were for both the children's understanding of language and their use of language. And if a child hadn't completed an assessment, we looked at the reasons why. For example, they may have been too young, they might have had additional medical difficulties that meant doing an assessment just wasn't appropriate for them. Those sorts of things. So we found that 75% of the children on our list had completed an expressive language assessment in the last year, and 81% had completed a receptive language assessment. And because lots of different language assessments are used for lots of different reasons, for example, based on the child's age, whether they use English or BSL, we needed to find a way to make their scores more consistent so we could compare them more easily. And to do this, we adapted a scale that already exists called and we called it the Language Outcome Scale for Deaf Children. And so we assigned all of the children a score for their understanding and a score for their use of language. And that was between 1 and 6. And so for the third and last stage of our data collection, we used the Therapy Outcome Measures for Deafness, or TOMS for deafness, which are a set of scales used to measure how deaf children are able to communicate in their environment, how easily they can join in with their everyday lives, and how they feel about themselves. So we were able to do this for 88% of the 103 deaf children on our caseload. So our data collection is now complete. We're really pleased to have been able to collect so much information. We're really excited to start analysing the data. So in my next video, we will talk about what we are focusing on in our analysis. If you have any questions or suggestions, please do contact me on lauren.newman.13@ucl.ac.uk or on any of the social media pages. I'll put the links below this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.